Welcome to Bottles and Bites Without Borders, where every sip and every bite tell a story. Rob is your host. Each week, he will take you on a delicious journey, from vineyard tales and distillery secrets to culinary traditions. So, grab a favorite drink, a plate of something tasty, and join us for another adventure with Bottles and Bites.
Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by for another episode of the podcast. I am Rob, your host, and today we're continuing our series of Uncorking Italy. This is part 3. We're heading down south. We're going to the island of Sicily. And this is, to me, probably the most exciting wine region in Italy right now. And that's because of the up and coming, wines of this region. And if you hear me say up and coming, you might be going, okay, cool. Did they just start making wines, Rob? Is this something new in Sicily? The answer to that would be no. They've been making wines for over 3,000 years. Thanks to its strategic, Mediterranean location and fertile volcanic soils, the Phoenicians, the Greeks, the Romans, the Arabs, they've all played a role in shaping the viticulture of the island. So now you're going, well, why are you talking about, you're all excited about the up and coming of this region? Well, that's because historically, Sicily has been known for quantity over quality. For much of the 19th and 20th centuries, Sicily was kind of like that engine room, if you will, for Italy and a lot of European wines as well, where they were exporting vast amounts of bulk wine and grape concentrate to fortify or blend with wines from northern Italy or France. So cooperatives dominated. Local wine growers were actually incentivized to prioritize volume over quality. And, when you think about Sicily, they have over 100,000 hectares of vines. It's Italy's largest wine-producing region. Don't let that size fool you. It's the quality that's rising. Winemakers are embracing native grapes, the altitude that they have, organic farming, and old vines like never before. They are doing some really cool things. But how did this transformation from a bulk wine producing region to, now focusing on quality and doing some cool things? How did this kind of happen? When did it happen? When did it start? Well, let's talk about that. So for, thousands of years, again, as we said, a bulk producing wine region, that changed or began to change in the late 80s and into the 90s when a few pioneering producers started to focus on quality over quantity. Factors that contributed to Sicily's rise included, there was a big investment in modern winemaking techniques. They replanted a lot of the vineyards and they wanted to put in some vines that were more lower yielding clones and better site selections for these plantings. A renewed appreciation for indigenous grape varieties was a big part of this. And the rise of Etna wines, bringing volcanic terroir into the spotlight. It really is the star of the island, in my opinion. There's some other great wines here, but the Etna Rosso and the Etna Bianco, to me, are the kings of Sicily. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. So by the early 2000s, Sicily had shed its reputation as a bulk region and was gaining a lot of recognition for its diversity, its authenticity, its terroir-driven wines. So let's get into some of the grapes that are, the dominant grapes, what Sicily is known for now with these high-quality wines. And we're going to start with, kind of what's the flagship of the island, which is Nero d'Avola. This is a red grape. It's one of the most important native varietals in all of Italy. It's known for producing fruit-driven wines with, good structure, aging potential. Nero d'Avola also has undergone a renaissance in the recent decades, moving from that bulk wine blending into this, star of the bottle. This is a spotlight grape as a quality-driven varietal for wine. So let's talk about the origins. The name Nero d'Avola means black of Avola, referencing its deep color and the town of Avola in southeastern Sicily. The history of this, it's an ancient variety that has grown in Sicily for centuries, but until the 1980s and 90s, it was mostly used, like we said, in that bulk wine or it was shipped north to add color and body to thinner wines. It's got a flavor profile that's deep ruby to inky purple. Aromas are black cherry, plum, blackberry, spicy notes like black pepper, licorice, cocoa, earthy and herbal undertones in more traditional styles. And it's medium to full-bodied with its texture. It's got moderate to high tannins and really good acidity. The alcohol on these, they get a little bit higher. They can be anywhere from 13.5% to 15% with Nero d'Avola. Now, when we talk about the regions and the terroir for Nero d'Avola, it thrives in Sicily's hot, dry climate. It's grown all over the island, but shows different expressions depending on the region. In southeast Sicily, it's going to be riper. It's going to be more opulent styles with plush fruit. In central and southwest Sicily, it's going to be more powerful, sun-drenched wines with higher alcohol. Higher elevation zones, they're going to be fresher, more balanced styles with elegance, a little brighter acidity. So it's really fun. It's really cool to explore, different regions, different places around the globe. But when you find a place like this that you can find a grape that can be made in so many different ways in one region. We talked about it a little bit in Tuscany with Sangiovese. I just love that. I love finding different expressions of the same grape, but the microclimates, vary a little bit different depending on the region that you're growing it in, and create some very cool different wines, all well made and beautiful, but all, noticeably different as well. So the styles of wines that are made with Nero d'Avola, if you get a fresh, let me say it this way. If you get a young wine, it's probably going to be fresh. Unoaked or lightly oaked, showing vibrant fruit, probably made that way because they want you to consume this, in its youth while it's young. Now you get into, after that, you're going to get into some aged or Reserva Nero d'Avola. Well, when it's barrel aged for a while, this is what's going to give it some depth and complexity, more structure, which also is going to add to these types of wines having some ageability to them. And then Nero d'Avola is also blended sometimes. It's blended with international varieties like Syrah and Merlot, or other native grapes like Frappato. And, with everybody loving a good rosé, it's not left out in this either when we talk about the wine styles for Nero d'Avola. They are starting to make some rosatos with this as well. It's increasingly being used for that, for its, fresh, dry roses kind of notes that you'll get with that. So you might be asking, well, with this wine, what would I have with this? What kind of food would I eat while I'm, enjoying this wine? Well, Nero d'Avola pairs beautifully with a lot of different things. Grilled meats and sausages are great. Pastas with a nice, rich tomato sauce can be great. A roasted eggplant with Sicilian caponata. Aged cheeses like pecorino can be great with this. So a lot of versatility with this wine still to be able to be, enjoyed with food. And that's what wine's all about. When you're enjoying wine, my wife always says if she has a little food, she needs a little wine. I always go, if I have a little wine, I need a little food. But both ways work, right? All right, that's Nero d'Avola. Let's move over to Volcano, Mount Etna, where a volcanic revolution is taking place with Sicilian wine. And I'm talking about Etna Rosso and Etna Bianco. These two wines are why I love Sicilian wines so much. I mean, these to me are kind of, some people might think I'm crazy, but they rival when you think about, red and white Burgundy. To me, this is the only region in Italy where you have a red wine and a white wine that are signature wines that are joined together to represent this region in Italy, a red and a white. It's Etna Rosso and Etna Bianco. And the quality, the style of these wines, really, to me, it really rivals a lot of the reds and whites that are in Burgundy. And I think as they continue to, just grow and improve on their wines and what they're doing, I think you're going to see more and more people maybe coming to my side of that comment a little bit. Now, we always talk about a region, and then we talk about the grape when we're in the old world. So Etna Rosso, Etna is the region. This is a volcano, right? Mount Etna. So Etna is the region. Rosso just means red. It's the red Etna. Bianco, white, so it's the white Etna. It doesn't tell you what the grapes are. So I'm going to do that right now. The red grape with Etna Rosso is Nerello Mascalese. It's the dominant red grape. It's often blended with Nerello Cappuccio. I'm butchering it, but you guys know that's what I do. And for Etna Bianco, the main grape is Carricante. And the requirement here is minimum 60%, but most times, often, you'll find it at 100% of the grape in the Etna Biancos. But we're going to get into the grapes here in just a second. Let's talk first a little bit about the history of Etna Biancos and Etna Rosso. They also, have ancient history, ancient roots, going back over 2,500 years to Greek colonization. Vines have always been a part of the mountains agriculture there on Mount Etna. And that's something that's pretty cool is that we call it mountain, it's a volcano, and it's an active volcano. We hear a lot of times around the world that, there's these great wines on volcanic sites, but a lot of these sites, Napa included, is an old volcanic site, but it's not active anymore. This one still is, and it still flares up, and we'll throw out a little lava here and there, and that's something that still to me is very unique and cool because sometimes that lava will come down and harden up, and they grow right back into this, and it really adds this minerality, this sense of place to the wines that you get from here. So, like we said early on, like much of Sicily, the Etna region was long associated with bulk wine. I mean, that's just what it was known for. That's what it did. The remote, steep terrain made quality-focused viticulture very difficult. But there was a rebirth, like we talked about in the 1990s and 2000s for Etna. A new wave of winemakers came in, both local and international, and they began to realize the potential of Etna's unique soils and the climate. And Etna wines earned a DOC status in 1968, but it wasn't until the 21st century that quality caught up with the potential of this region. So we've already kind of told you why the wines are so unique, and it leans a lot on the terroir. This is a volcanic soil. It's rich in basalt, pumice, ash, and sand. The porous soils provide excellent drainage and impart minerality and tension on the wines. Elevation. Vines are planted at 400 to 1,200 meters above sea level, among the highest in Europe. Cool nights preserve acidity, and slow ripening promotes elegance and complexity. The climate is Mediterranean. It's cooler than the rest of Sicily due to the altitude. This contrast helps create wines with balance and finesse, not just power. And Etna is divided into contrade, like Burgundy's climates, each a distinct volcanic soil and exposure site, producing nuanced micro-expressions of the wines from this region. So the main grape, we already said, for Etna Rosso is Nerello Mascalese. It's the dominant grape, sometimes blended with Nerello Cappuccio. The style is light to medium as far as body, with a really crunchy kind of red fruit, sour cherry, raspberry. There's some floral notes. It's got some herbs to it, a distinct kind of volcanic earthiness to it. High acid, good tannins, gives it some great structure, and these wines can age. That's the beauty of these. That's where, again, I compare these wines to Burgundy because they have a lot of similarities. It's often described as a cross between Pinot Noir and Nebbiolo, thanks to its pale color, finesse, but still having some of that grip. Top examples of Etna Rossos can age, 10 to 20 years. And so just by those numbers alone, you can see the quality of these wines to be able to have that kind of ageability. I would tell you some of the producers, but you guys know I can't say them, so I'm not going to. But there's some really good producers. Just go shop, go find. You'll enjoy what you get probably from any of the producers that are distributed here in the States. All right, let's jump into Etna Bianco. This is the white wine. This is Carricante. Typically, these are 100%. It doesn't have to be. It has to be a minimum of 60% in the wine. But most often you see this at 100%. The style of Carricante, of an Etna Bianco, is going to be crisp. It's going to have some minerality to it. It's going to be citrus driven. It'll have notes of lemon zest, green apple, white flowers, some salty minerality. This is pretty common. Some gain complexity with age, developing flinty or honeyed notes. And, elevation matters in winemaking anywhere. And when you have a mountain here in Mount Etna, higher altitude Carricante can be razor sharp and tense. With lower plots, they're a little bit more rounder. So if you're going to compare this to something, I always kind of go to Chablis. A lot of people will say, with the aromatics and everything, it's kind of Chablis meets Riesling without the kind of volcanic soul of a Etna Bianco. But just some beautiful wines. One of my favorite wine regions in the world is Mount Etna with the reds and whites. And these wines, like I said, are on the rise. Well, why are they on the rise? Well, they have some distinctiveness to them. These volcanic wines, they're really in fashion right now. Wine nerds, if you will, wine dorks, if you will, that's me. And we all love these kind of wines. And Etna delivers a style no other region can match. It really does. The terroir transparency, Etna wines definitely express a sense of place in a way that appeals to us geeks, us wine geeks, but also, sommeliers alike. They're very food friendly. They have high acidity. They're lower in alcohol. That makes these wines great at any table. I mean, they're very versatile with a lot of foods. Many producers follow low intervention, so you get a lot of organic or biodynamic practices. This is appealing to a lot of the younger wine fans they're getting into wine, younger wine drinkers. And they have limited production due to the difficult terrain. So this makes them desirable and collectible. So again, I'm telling you, this region is on the rise. If you're not, and some people might be mad at me for letting this out of the bag. If you're not drinking wine from Etna Rosso and Etna Bianco, you need to. You need to go chase some of these down and try them. And again, people are going to be mad at me because as this gets out more, and you know how it works, supply and demand becomes higher. You just heard me say limited production due to difficult terrain. These prices will go up. But I can't keep a secret, man. You guys need to know about this region. It's that good. So let's just talk real quick, just some food dishes that you might have with an Etna Rosso. Mushroom risotto would be fantastic. Roasted chicken, a charcuterie board is fine. Grilled swordfish, even tuna would work. I mean, very versatile. An Etna Bianco, the white wine, oysters, grilled prawns, pasta with lemon and herbs, a white pizza, some goat cheese. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can have with these wines. I'm just mentioning a few, but really goes with so much. These are absolutely stunning wines. You're going to enjoy them. All right, the next wine we're going to talk about, or I should say the next grape we're going to talk about is one of my favorite to say. And I didn't discover this grape and didn't have any of this wine or try it. It's been probably 3-4 years ago. It was my first time to try this grape, this wine called Zabibbo. You hear that name Zabibbo and you don't go Italian. It just doesn't scream Italian. At least it didn't to me. But this is actually another one of those grapes that's been around very long time. As we talked about, 3,000 years of wine production in the island of Sicily. Zabibbo's been around a very long time, over 2,000 years. So let's talk about it a little bit. It's Sicily's perfumed heritage grape, right? It's got these great aromas to it on the nose. I mean, beautiful wine. And Zabibbo is the Sicilian name for Muscat of Alexandria. So it's a muscat. So what do you think right away? Yeah, you're right. It's got a little sweetness to it. So it might be considered, could be a dessert wine. It's one of the oldest known grape varieties in the world. It's believed to have been brought to Sicily by the Phoenicians or the Arab travelers, possibly back as far as 2,000 to 3,000 years ago. The name Zabibo comes from the Arabic word zabib, meaning raisin, because the grape's sweet and raisin-like qualities. So where is it grown on the island? Well, primarily it's cultivated on the island of Pantelleria, a volcanic island between Sicily and Tunisia, and in some parts of western Sicily near Marsala or Trapani. But Pantelleria is the spiritual home of Zabibo, and it's where it reaches its highest expression. So Zabibo is incredibly versatile. It's used in both sweet and dry styles. So let's talk about a sweet style, and I'm going to butcher this, but Pasito de Pantelleria, who knows? World famous dessert wine made from Zabibo grapes that are sun-dried on mats to concentrate these sugars. Really beautiful wines, fermented slowly with intense natural sweetness, balanced by acidity and minerality. You get some flavors of apricot, orange peel, dates, honey, dried figs, jasmine, a little saffron. These are age-worthy wines. They are luxurious wines. Think of it as Sicily's answer to sauternes or Tokai. And then you go to a dry Zabibo. This is a newer and increasingly more popular expression, and this is exactly what I had. I didn't have the sweet version of Zabibo. I had the dry. That's all I've had. Never had a sweet, but I absolutely love the dry. They're very aromatic. They're fermented dry to make a refreshing kind of floral white wine. They have this white peach flavors, orange blossom, lemon zest, herbs, this salinity to it. They have bright acidity. It's a medium body. These are great for warm weather, sipping. Seafood pairings are great. So definitely a fun wine. I mean, anytime you can take a bottle of Zabibo to somebody's house to share and they ask, what wine did you bring? And you say, Zabibo. They're going to be looking at you like, what the hell is that? Because most people won't know that. So fun wines. I will tell you a little tasting profile talking about the sweet and the dry. Let's just, on the dry style, we kind of mentioned what you'd get on the nose, which is this orange blossom, this jasmine citrus. On the palate, it's zesty, it's floral, it's mineral, it's light to medium body. And the alcohol is going to be between 12 and 13% on the dry. When we get to the sweet, now we're getting this reduction, right? So now we're getting dried fruits, honey, herbs. It's going to be rich on the palate. Velvety, balanced with this great acid. It's going to be full-bodied, and you're going to get alcohol between 14 and 15% on these wines. So, as we've done with the other wines, let's talk about food pairings with Zabibo. Well, with a dry Zabibo, you might do some grilled shrimp. You might have Sicilian swordfish, some couscous with citrus, caponata, fresh cheeses, all would be great. With the sweet version of Zabibo, you might do blue cheese, fourgois, almond pastries, Sicilian cannoli, or just sip on it on its own as a dessert after dinner. That'd be, beautiful as well. So like the other wines of Sicily, Zabibo is starting to get a lot of attention. And there's a few reasons why. One, its uniqueness, right? It's one of the few wines that can be intensely aromatic and minerally driven. It's versatile. It works in natural, skin contact, sparkling, sweet, dry styles. So that's pretty cool. It represents Sicily's culture, the blend of European, Arab, and North African influences. It's got great sustainability, often grown organically and using traditional or low intervention methods. And it's a wine geek lover's wine. It's the darling of sommeliers and us wine nerds alike. We all, like I said earlier, if you're going to take this to a dinner and you pop a Zabibo, cool name, probably a cool bottle, but fantastic juice in the glass as well. So, it's a win-win-win-win all the way around. So kind of Zabibo is not just a wine. It's a living symbol of Sicily's crossroads of history and flavor. Whether you're sipping a glass of dry Zabibo on a warm summer day or indulging in the luscious amber nectar of the sweet Zabibo, this grape offers, unique, expressive window into the island's soul. And if you've not tried Zabibo, a little tougher to find, but seek it out. It's worth the search. So overall, Sicily's wine journey is a story of rediscovery and revival. What was once a forgotten bulk producing region has now become the beacon of quality, diversity, and character. Whether it's the power of the Nero d'Avola, the elegance of Etna Rosso and Bianco, the aromatic allure of Zabibo, Sicilian wines are now among the most exciting in all of Italy, and they are for me. And they're only getting better. They're getting better and better. Your best bets for finding these wines are going to be at a local wine shop. They're going to be the ones that will be carrying these kind of cool, delicious, and fun wines. So definitely check out your local wine shops first. You can also shop on the internet. There's all kinds of places, if you just search buy wine, they'll pull up all kinds. I'm not going to give them a plug here, but you'll find some options for ordering wines from Sicily, which you won't be disappointed. All right, that's it for part 3 of Uncorking Italy. Next week, we head to Northeast Italy, home of Alpine whites and orange wine wonders from Alto Adige and Friuli. Until then, drink bravely, sip slowly, and never stop exploring. Cheers, everyone.